Hey guys, welcome back. So we have talked about identifying the difference between liters and milliliters, as well as the difference between grams and kilograms. So today we're actually going to problem solve with mass and capacity. So the biggest thing to know when we are problem solving with mass and capacity is that each number is represented by a unit, and those units are very important because later on in fourth and fifth grade, you're going to start converting those units. So we really want to make sure that we are paying attention to what units our numbers are being represented with. So I'm going to go over two types of problems. Now, when problem solving, you could be adding, you could be subtracting, or multiplying or dividing. So again, it's really focusing on what is your action in the problem. So, what is happening? Am I having to compare the numbers to see who has more than somebody else and subtract? Do I need to just find out how many they have all together? Am I splitting them into equal groups to divide? Or do I already have my groups and then I need to find my total, so I'm multiplying? So please be very careful as you go through your problem solving. So our first problem says Miss Morgan has a container filled with 52 milliliters of tea. You guys know how much I love my sweet tea. Ellie has a container filled with 15 milliliters of tea. How many more milliliters of tea does Miss Morgan have in her container? Well, if Miss Morgan has 52 milliliters and Ellie has 15 milliliters, okay, so I went ahead and underlined my numbers just so they will stick out. I also underline my units because, again, the units are extremely important. So it's how many more milliliters of tea does Miss Morgan have in her container? Okay, so here we're comparing the numbers. We want to find out how much more does Miss Morgan have than Ellie. So I'm going to take Miss Morgan's and I'm going to subtract Ellie's. Okay, 2 subtract 5. I can't do that, so I'm regrouping. I traded, and now I can solve. So my answer is not just 35. Now remember, our numbers ended in milliliters. So my answer is actually 35 milliliters. If you actually want to write out the word milliliters, you can do that, or you can abbreviate it. Okay, so that's the correct answer. If I just write 35 down, it's going to be marked incorrect because you didn't have your units. Okay, guys, let's look at our next one. All right, Miss Morgan uses 35 grams of baking soda in a batch of brownies. She baked 4 batches of brownies. How many grams of baking soda did she use? Okay, so there's 30 grams of baking soda in a batch. She baked 4 batches. Okay, so I'm picturing this in my head. She's baking 4 batches. She needs 30 grams for each batch, and it wants to know how many grams. So it wants me to find the total. So for this one, I'm actually multiplying because I have 4 groups of 30. All right. So I have my 4 batches, which are my groups. So I have my 4 groups. I have 30 grams in each group. All right, so here we go. So 4 times 3 is 12. And then your 0 is put on at the end, so 120. Now, if I wanted to draw this out and do repeated addition, I could. But again, my answer is not complete because I have to add in the grams. So my answer is 120 grams. All right, guys, if you have any questions, let me know.